So here we are with the Storm SS battery powered floor scraper. At some point in time, you're either going to need to replace or rebuild these hydraulic cylinders on the front. So we can pull the pin out, take a couple of bolts loose, remove the hydraulic hoses, take it to the bench, and that's what we're going to do next. We're going to go to the bench. Okay, so I can make a quick note here on these cylinders. Both are the same cylinders, different manufacturers that we have them made from. One of these has a larger place to put our spanner, or it's called a face spanner wrench, and the other one has a smaller. So this is the tool you would use to remove this retaining nut. So you would line that up and then unscrew that retaining nut. Okay, so I've got this clamped down into a little piece of flat bar. I'm going to rotate this counterclockwise to remove this retaining nut. All right, and the retaining nut loose. And in order to get the guts out of this, we're probably going to want to get a piece of wood to bang it on here. And then that reveals all of our seals. Purchase a seal kit from OEM and install it back on to the parts, and we'll be ready to go back in service. Okay, so I've got this cleaned up a little bit. We are going to pull this bearing off of the front. Then we have replacement seals for this. We have a seal inside of here. We have a replacement for that. We have a replacement for this on the retaining nut. We have the 3 seals that are going to go on the piston. And then we also have an O-ring that's going to go on the inside of this to seal it to the shaft. Okay, so we're going to take this bearing and we're going to remove the seals from out of the inside of it. We need to take note of each one of these seals as they come out, what direction they're going to go back in. So this one here is going to go back in like this. So we're just going to take note of that. Really good idea for your cell phone. Also, we're going to take note that there is a flat ring here and then there's a round ring here. I'm going to remember here that the flat one goes up against this flat surface. I'm going to get these out of there. Now we're going to clean this up before we put it back in so we get everything back in and it's all brand new. So we're going to clean this rusty surface off here with a wire brush and get it all cleaned out with some brake cleaner. Same thing we're going to do, we're going to pull this cotter pin off of here. We're going to use an 1.5 inch socket. Take this nut off of the end of the shaft. And there is another O-ring inside of the piston. It's inside of here. We're going to take it out with the screwdriver. And we're going to put the new one back in after we clean everything up. Then we're going to make sure we clean this barrel out. As you can see, there is some debris inside of these ports. We need to make sure we get all of that out. Make sure there's not any of that when we go back together with it. So again, we'll clean this out with carburetor cleaner. Okay, so we've got this seal inside of the retaining nut. We need to get it out of there. We're going to get our screwdriver in. We're going to pry him out. Then we're going to clean this area up here, get it all good and clean before we go back together with it so it's like new. Okay, we're going to put a new seal in the retaining nut. And be real careful how we use tools on these rubber pieces so we don't scar it. There's that. Then we're going to have one of these flat rings on one side of this groove. And then we're going to have O-ring in the center. And we're going to put a flat one on the other side here. So we encapsulate the O-ring like that. Then we have this last one that goes in the center. Okay. Now you can see where the nut was facing on that. We're going to put this back onto the shaft. Put the nut back on it. We'll tighten that back up in a few minutes. We're going to put this seal on the inside. And if you remember, we had the flat ring on the towards the flat surface over here. I'm going to put him in there first. And then we're going to put the round one on. All right. So now we can tighten the nut. We're going to put our cotter pin back in. And we're going to bend that to keep it from coming out. And that will need to be bent around on both sides. Okay. Your bearing is going to go on first. Okay, so we're going to put a little bit of grease on this to help us get it in the barrel. This is why we have rubber gloves on, so we can get really messy. And we'll put a little bit in here. Just helps everything go together a little bit easier. Now we can put the retaining nut on. There we go. Ready to go back on the machine.